Welcome back to another Rollies Wheels. Today I'm actually driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee limited edition, and it's a 2006 with the 5.7 V8 Hemi. The V8 Hemi is quite a strong engine. It's got a lot of pull. When you drive the car, it's a lot different than driving the 3-litre Mercedes engine, so it's a completely different animal altogether. The car comes with a lot of extras. What I'm quite impressed with is the smoothness of the ride. The steering is set up really well. It's very smooth again. The gear changing, this automatic gearbox, is also very, very smooth. And obviously the turning circle for a four-wheel drive, doing a sharp turn now, is fantastic. It's really, really good. There's a lot of space in the car too. As a front seat passenger, you've got plenty of leg room, knee room, and I'm a 6'1" gentleman, and when I'm sitting in this position with plenty of leg room, sitting in the back of the car provides you with a fairly decent amount of leg room as well. So in a moment I'm just going to take you through some of the finer details of the infotainment system, the sat nav and so on, and the switches on the car. But until then, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about the car. The Jeep Grand Cherokee, previous models, the WJ model, I had one of those and I've actually featured on this channel, had a 4.7 V8 engine. The WK/WH also featured the 4.7 in the earlier years. I think it was a WK. The WH then had the 5.7 litre Hemi engine, and as I said before, it's a very, very robust engine. The only thing is, with such a large size engine, your miles per gallon can dip quite considerably, depending on how you drive it. Of course, the longer the journey and the more gentle you are, you can actually get 23, 24 to the gallon out of it. I've even actually, without pressing too hard, managed just under 25, so it's pretty good. I mean, if you're popping about town and you're going down lanes like this, you're probably going to be averaging around about 17 to 18. But hey, that's what you're supposed to expect with a big V8 engine. So, you know, if you can afford to run one of these, you can afford to top it up. The engine has a sweet sound as well. It's got that deep burble noise as you're just tootling along. And when you press the accelerator a little bit more, then you can hear that thrustiness come through. But it's not intrusive, it's just a nice quiet burble, which I really like about it. The steering is very precise, the car doesn't roll, it's very very well balanced from the point of view that it's not soft, but it's not hard. So there's that equilibrium about this vehicle. And as a rear seat passenger, you know, you're not going to feel seasick sat in the back. Most four-wheel drives, actually, I know the technology these days with similar like cat suspension can provide up to the millisecond adjustment depending on how fast you're traveling, but this Jeep doesn't have that technology, but the suspension setup is very, very good all the same. You get the usual automatic folding mirrors, you get heated wing mirrors, and they actually dip on getting bright headlamps coming up from behind you, as does the rear view mirror on the windscreen here. You can switch it on or off because you've got a toggle switch. You can turn that off or on, which is very, very useful. It actually has a form of Parrot hands-free system in here, which is this particular box. So if you pair your phone up to it, it's fine. It's not great. It does its job. And as I'm going to explain a little bit shortly about the actual entertainment or infotainment system, as one likes to call it these days, you can do an upgrade on this particular vehicle to provide you with a Bluetooth connection straight into the set, but this one doesn't have it. But it's got a lot of features all the same. And I particularly do like the way in which they've sat the sat-nav and infotainment system inside the dashboard. They've actually raised a bit of a binnacle over the top. My driving and seating position is very, very good, being able to sit and look over the bonnet, so your all-round visibility is excellent in this car. But at the same time, all your switches and all the knobs and little gizmos are easy to hand, easy to reach to get to, and you don't have to hunt around looking for things. They're all there. It's got a very good, elegant poise to it, sort of a top-notch quality, which I thoroughly enjoy about this car. It's quiet, you can just tootle along at 5 miles an hour, or you can put your foot down and you can cruise quite sensibly on a motorway and feel just as comfortable. So we're going to travel a little bit further down this section of road. I'm going to pull up and we're going to go around the vehicle, and I'm going to explain and show you one or two other things which I think you will find very interesting. So let's take a little walk around the car. Let's start at the front. These lights, actually, what I really like about the WK and WH is the way the bonnet sort of folds over the headlamps. The later versions and the previous versions of the Jeep, they had quite a straight profile headlamp, but this is quite different. And I know that Jeep actually changed this after this WH model for the newer model, and went back to the more sleek design of headlamp. But I quite like it, it's quite nice. We've got a chrome grille on this one. The sport models had a black grille, and obviously because this is the limited version, it's got the chrome grille. I quite like the chrome grille as well. You've got fog lights, very powerful main beam actually on these vehicles. And coming down the side, they are, as I mentioned before, they're power adjustable folding wing mirrors and heated wing mirrors. I do like the chrome strip along the side of the car, and it's got imprinted in the chrome strip Grand Cherokee on that driver's door, and you follow it through to the back. And coming around the vehicle, it's got a hatchback version, so you can either open up the boot itself like this. It's got a very useful storage area in the boot. You can slide this back, this cover back, and inside this area here is a little hidden storage space. Just unclip that, unclip this, quite useful. And what you can do is you can flip it and turn it that way around for when you're actually carrying objects and stopping them from floating around in the back of the boot. Well, it's a nice little touch. Pop that back, it's quite easy. Just lift that up and turn it, and then it secures it. You can actually fold the back seat down, and you get a lot of space by doing so, and when you do, it's a really smooth area to be able to load stuff, so it's quite an easy vehicle to load luggage in and out of. There's no steps to be able to carry the luggage over. And what I like about this is you've got, if you're restricted in space and a vehicle backs up to your car and you can't open this boot for any apparent reason, or you're parking in a low sort of car park area, you can open up the hatch, which is separate from this. There's a button on the back here, you just push up, and when you do, literally the hatch comes up, and the space for loading is quite accessible. Okay, so we'll take a little look at the back of the car. I mentioned before the knee space in here. And what happens with this car, it's got a courtesy setting, so that when you get out of the car and you take your key out of the ignition, once you pull it out, this seat here draws back in order to be able to allow you to get in and out more easily. So if I put the key in the ignition, you can see it'll actually move the seat to the set position. So I can actually, if I climb inside the back, you can see that there's plenty of room in here, very comfortable. And I'm 6'1", and I've got a lot of headroom in here again, so it's quite a comfortable place to be. You've got this armrest here, which is very nice and comfortable. Armrest on the door, sat here. It's a very nice place to be. So now we've taken a look at the back. I'm going to take a look in the front of the car now. So, looking at the vehicle, when they're being a driver's position, you can see putting this in, and then seat moves forward to its set position, and you can set the steering wheel. There's a lever under here. You can set the height of the steering wheel up or down depending on how you feel you want it set, which is quite nice. And the position sat here, you can raise the seat, you can lower it. It's got all the electric seat adjustments here. You've got the back, forward and back. You've got the whole seat forward or back. You can lift it or you can drop it. But once you've got your seat set in that position, you program it by pressing the button key fob number 1 or 2. There's 2 keys for this car. one key fob is a 1, you press the 1 for setting it. Once you've done, you press the S for set. That sets this position and will always remember it for you. So taking a little look at the inside of the car, we're going to take a closer look from the passenger side now. So we've got the engine ticking over now, and you can see the instrument binnacle, how clearly laid that out that is. You can see you've got the temperature gauge, you've got the rev counter, and inside here you've got that section that you can scroll through, giving you your average miles to empty. So you've got trip miles, that's 1,417 on this one at the moment. That's your trip. That's your A and B, so you can actually measure a journey on the A setting, and you can do another journey on B, so that's quite good. And then it's got time elapsed as well, which is quite good, the time of the journey. It's also got your tire pressure ometers as well. We've actually had to put new ones on this one, on this car, because they can be a little bit prone to failure. But anyway, it tells you where all these pressures are all the way around the car, which is great. And this vehicle's got 4,500 miles to service. And next one, obviously we're going back to the start again, and this is our 15.1 average miles per gallon. That's just because of literally I've been just tootling along very slowly. Yep, so coming across now to the main part of the dashboard, taking a closer look at the infotainment system now. This is quite a nice easy set. So you've got all your radio channels here. You can preset them. I think you can have about 12 or a few more. It's got a CD player, but on this one it's got a, I think it says here 6-disc auto changer, and it's MP3 player as well, which is good. And you've got the sat nav. This is on here, which is quite good. For its age, this is 2006 model. Sometimes obviously you need to try and get an upgraded version, but I think to get that you need to upgrade the set, but it's still good, it's still great. So taking a closer look at the rest of the instruments here, this is quite easy to explain because you've got your air conditioning, it's got climate control as well. It's dual zone climate control. You can alter the temperature from passenger side to driving side, so you just literally raise or lower the temperature for aircon and climate control. You can switch this fan on, so then you can have it from low, you can turn it to auto and high. If you go on auto, what happens is it will automatically set the temperature of the car inside, keep it at that level once you've set it here, no matter what the temperature is outside. You've got your, this is the air conditioning climate control button. You've got the rear heater button here, and you've got recycle or recirculation button here, which is quite good. And this actually is the sensor placed just above them. We've got heated seats at the front, so you've got 2 settings for the passenger. You've got for the driver 2 settings, and you also have, you can turn off the ACS on this particular vehicle. And also when you're towing, we've got a ball hitch on this. You press the button here and actually identify the type of tow hook or connection that you've got into the back of the car. This is the parking sensor button, so you can turn it off or on. Now when you back up, it's got parking sensors on the rear, and when you actually back up, what I like about this is you'll actually hear a little bleeping noise, but if you turn around and you look through the back window, there is above, and I'm going to see whether it's going to turn on now for it, I don't know, but you can actually see, yeah, it's lit up now, you just saw it flash. So what happens is, as you get closer to an object, though more and more of those lights on that back part will light up until finally it gives you an audible note telling you that you've reached that close point. So it does help you. You can actually see that when looking through the rear view mirror, which is very handy. So running through the type of transmission, we've got the Quadra Drive 2 gearbox, which is very nice and easy to sort of select into reverse, neutral, drive. And when you're driving and you're on a main road, you want to nip past something and you want to get into a sport mode, it's quite nice because you can gear up or gear down just by knocking it to the side, that is to gear down, or gear up, you can actually push it to the plus side. So it's quite nice, it's quite easy to use, and it does give you a bit of push. We've got the little pocket here for coins, another pocket in here, another pocket there, which is quite useful. I'll plug this back in. So here we have the controls for the 4-wheel drive system, and it's quite easy to use. When you put this into neutral, you can actually lift the lever to be able to fix the front wheels and back in a diff lock formation. But it's worth mentioning at the moment that currently the car runs on a four-wheel drive system, whereby it's giving you 80% drive on the rear wheels and the other 20 on the front. And if you were to just drive off from a tarmac surface onto a grassy surface, and if it was particularly slippy, it would automatically identify that one wheel or one axle was actually slipping, and it would actually transfer more drive across to it. So you're actually changing from 80-20 to literally 50-50 drive. Very clever system. And I remember I had this on the 4.7 WJ. Worked really well. And here we've got the cup holders, and Jeep always supplied this particular item, which is a cigarette, or an ashtray rather. That sits inside very neatly in there. You can take it out if you're not using it, to have two cups in. You've got an armrest which also provides storage space in here, and you've got a little net rack, so you can just put some CDs or some stuff in there, but there's quite a lot of space in there. And then you can put some items of coins or pens or whatever stored in there. Very nice. So, and if we take a closer look at this, there are vents for the rear seat passengers, which is a very nice touch too. Oh, while we're looking at the back, if you have a look at the cup holders for the rear passengers, this is quite a nice neat little trick. That just comes out and you can put your cups inside. They can be a little bit flimsy, don't be too rough with them, but you know, if you're careful like we are with this or the previous person, then you know, everything works nicely. And one other small point, well, it's not particularly a small point but a very useful point, is looking at the armrest in the rear seat. Just push that button and you can actually store some more stuff away there. Very useful on journeys. Right, shall we look at the heartthrob of this vehicle, the 5.7 litre Hemi? I'm just going to pop the bonnet. See the size of the engine. It's quite sizable. This is quite clean inside, but it's quite a solid lump. It's 332 brake horsepower, and it's actually got a stabilizer bar for strengthening, obviously providing more stability in the vehicle, because it is quite a heavy lump. Everything is easy to hand. We've got the coolant top up here, obviously the brake cylinder reservoir. Here again is directly into the radiator for topping water, but I wouldn't touch that when that's hot. You just clearly top up there. A good sized battery on these cars, you need them, and the dipstick is placed here, and oil top up there. Very easy to look after and also to keep clean. Oh, well, look at this here. This is the top up for the windscreen washer. A very nice place to put it too. So just to finish off, I'd like to take a look at these wheels, because these aren't particularly standard. These wheels were put on after, but they're OZ alloys and they're black. They've been polished on the fronts, quite nice. They are 17 inch, but it can look quite nice if you put 18 or 19 inch alloys on them. It can take them, but these are quite a nice set of wheels. So I hope you've all enjoyed watching this, and maybe one or two of you've probably learned a little bit about the car, those people who didn't know too much about it. But those people who do know a lot about Jeeps, you probably know a little bit more about me, or may be able to make any comment or whatever to add to it. But thank you once again for looking at my channel, and keep watching, and do remember to subscribe. Thank you again.